Hello, this is Timo from ProductiveSuperdad.com, and I'm really thrilled to have Steve Kamb on this call. Now, Steve is Steve is the guy behind a super successful fitness site called nerdfitness.com, and its core message is basically helping desk jockeys, nerds, and average Joes level up their lives. So, as you might guess, we will be talking about healthy lifestyle, exercising, nutrition habits, and all that stuff. Steve, it's really great to have you on this call. How are you?
I'm great, Timo. Thanks so much for having me, man. Looking forward to it.
Okay, yeah, sure, thanks. Now, let's start with a quick introduction first. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who are you and where are you coming from?
Sure. I'm currently living in Portland, Oregon, but technically I've been homeless for the past 18 months. I've been traveling the world. I've been to 6 continents, 15 countries. I've done something like 120,000 miles of traveling, just something astronomical over the past 18 months. Long story short, I started nerdfitness.com 3.5 years ago. I really had this idea that I wanted to help people get in shape, and I knew there were already a billion fitness blogs out there, so I had to come up with a way to be very unique and creative, and that's where I kind of came up with the idea, like, look, I'm a big nerd, I like fitness, let's see if we can create some really interesting niche there for me to kind of carve out my own little piece of the fitness industry. So that's how it started. It started as a hobby 3.5 years ago, and about 2 years ago, it got to the point where Nerd Fitness was getting popular enough that I decided to quit my day job and focus on this full time. So Nerd Fitness has been my full-time job for 2 years now, and it has been one of the coolest and most enjoyable experiences of my life for sure.
Yeah, that's really awesome information, and yeah, I truly agree that you have found a very unique angle to this fitness because there are lots of fitness sites out there, and I don't think that anyone is covering your angle or the angle that you are basically talking about and writing about. It's completely unique, so it's a very refreshing type of
Thank you
angle.
very much.
Yeah. Now let's dive in with these interview questions, and let's talk about exercising, especially when you're starting out. I mean, there are lots of people out there who are figuring out if they should start exercising or not, but if you decide to start exercising, do you think that there are anything that you should remember before you get into the exercising thing?
Yeah, well, I think not only with exercising but healthy living. I think the big thing, honestly, is to remember that what you eat and your diet is going to be 80% at least of your success or failures. And I think so many people, they're like, oh, I'm trying to get healthy, and then the only thing they think of is they want to go run on a treadmill for 2 hours. And exercise in a way that they really are unhappy with, and they think this is miserable, and after 2 weeks they give up, or even worse, they stick with this running on a treadmill or on an elliptical machine, something that they're not happy with for months and months and months, but because they don't make any fundamental changes to their diet, they're not seeing any progress. So I think first and foremost, understand that how you eat is going to be 80% of your success or failures. And two, getting started with exercise, put the focus on habit change. And I'm sure we'll talk about this a little more coming up, but instead of forcing yourself to exercise for 2 hours every day, instead work on exercising for 5 minutes. Go for a walk, play with your kids in the backyard, take your dog for a walk. Anything that gets you moving and get your heart rate pumping, that's exercise. So if you can combine some sort of healthy movement that you enjoy and can do every day, and combine that with a proper diet, you'll be able to finally start making some steps in the right direction, see some progress, and start building some momentum.
Yeah, that's a really great advice, and I definitely agree with you. I think that exercising is just one part of this big puzzle, if you want to put it like that. So exercising is not enough, and this is exactly what I have been thinking about this. Whenever I see these infomercials on television, they say that.
Oh, they're the worst.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, what is missing is that you can run like 100 miles every day or do whatever, but it doesn't, change the fact that you are still, if you're not making a complete change in your life and change nutrition as well, so it is going to be a very tough change, and losing those extra pounds is going to be a very tough job. So there is lots more to that than just working on a treadmill or doing just some hard physical exercise.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I noticed that you actually wrote about this next question that I was about to ask you, and I'm going to ask you about it. You mentioned that this very common excuse is that when people are saying that I don't have enough time to exercise.
Right.
But how would you actually change those people's minds when someone is saying that I don't have enough time to do this and that? So what would you say to that type of person? And also, do you think that there are certain sports or any exercises that would be easy for beginners to start out with?
Sure. First of all, I think the way I look at it and the way I encourage other people to look at it, and like you said, I just wrote about this on my site, but
Yeah.
when people come to me and they tell me, Steve, I want to exercise, but I don't have time,
Yeah.
I tell them they need to rephrase their thought process. Instead of saying, I don't have time, they need to say, it's not a priority.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, we all have the same amount of time in the day. Yes, we are all very busy. We have day jobs, friends, family, obligation, hobbies, whatever. If you don't have time to exercise, then what you're really saying is that exercise is not a priority for you,
Yeah.
which is totally fine. Maybe for whatever reason you have to put these other priorities ahead of that. But if you're complaining about that you're not healthy and that you don't have time, then you really need to take a look and identify what you are spending your time on. And you can't say, well, getting healthy is a priority, I just don't have time for it. It's not true. Your priorities are what you are currently spending your time on. If you're spending 4 hours a night watching television, or 3 hours a night playing video games, or wasting extra time screwing around at work when you could be at the gym or you could be exercising, those are your priorities. So instead of complaining that you don't have enough time, understand that you do have enough time. You're just choosing to do other things instead of exercise. So I encourage people to start by rephrasing that question and no longer saying, I don't have time to eat healthy or I don't have time to work out. Instead, it's eating healthy and working out is not a priority for me. So I think that's a great place for people to start, and that's kind of like that slap in the face that they need to understand, like, oh, okay, maybe 3 hours of TV tonight is not a good use of my time, or spending 4 hours on Facebook, like, or even if it's 20, you can get a great workout in 20 minutes. I'm not sure if you're familiar with CrossFit, but most CrossFit workouts, especially when you get to the elite athlete section, those workouts are done in 10, 11, 12 minutes. You can get an incredible workout in a handful of minutes as long as you are pushing yourself with enough intensity and purpose and drive. So anybody that tells me they don't have enough time, I tell them that they're lying and that they do have enough time. It's just actually putting the effort forward and making exercise a priority.
Yeah.
For that reason, for people that are just getting started, honestly, my favorite thing is walking. I think if you can start building a habit of walking, even 5-10 minutes a day, after 2-3 weeks, all of a sudden waking up and going for a 10-minute walk becomes a hobby. Then you can make an adjustment and say, okay, well, what if we're going to do a 10-minute walk and 20 push-ups, or a 10-minute walk and 20 squats, or 20 squats and 20 push-ups and a 5-minute walk. As long as you can start very small and be very deliberate in what you're trying to accomplish. Make it very easy, basic, something that is very easy for you to accomplish on a daily basis. As you're accomplishing those things, you can slowly add a little bit more and more each time, push a little bit harder, try to do more reps, finish the workout faster. But it's not an issue, if you have 10 minutes, that you have enough time to get a little bit of a workout done. And if I had to pick a place for somebody to start, I would say start building a walking habit or another habit of something that you really enjoy doing. It's playing with your kids, taking your dog for a walk, just something that gets you off your couch and moving.
Yeah. That's really great stuff, and I think that many people what they tend to do is that I mean, they try to become these super athletes all at once. Like they start running 10K every day, and all of a sudden they realized after 1 week that they do not have any motivation left, and they are just lying on the couch and watching that television once again. So I think that starting out small is a great strategy. Yeah, exactly. So if you keep doing that for long enough, it becomes a great habit, and then you can just add up, eventually. So that's a great advice. Yeah. Um, Now we already mentioned a little bit, or you actually mentioned about habits, and I also understand that habits are very very important when it comes to making profound lifestyle changes. But do you think that there are any certain habits that you should recommend someone else to focus on when they are making these changes in their lives?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily maybe specific habits. What I would recommend is picking one habit at a time.
Hmm.
As you were just saying, I think a lot of people were going to try to drastically change their diet. They're going to start running
Um,
a 10K a day, and then they're going to try weight training, and they're going to do all these drastic things. And
yeah.
after a week, they'll be like, holy crap, I am exhausted. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So instead, I highly recommend people picking one thing at a time. And in my opinion, I think one of the best things that you can do to understand, especially for the people that say I don't have time,
Hmm.
is to spend a couple days tracking your time
Yeah.
and finding out where your time is going. If you understand, like, okay, well, I spend an hour every morning watching TV, and then I go to work, and it takes me 3 hours at work before I finally get started. Like, you can identify, okay, these are some things that I can work on. For example, I've put a huge focus the past month or two on increasing my productivity.
Hmm.
And to do that, I've put a lot more effort into when I'm sitting at a computer, I have to be focused. I've blocked
Yeah.
myself out from certain websites so I can't even access them. Sometimes
Hmm.
I'll turn my internet off, so all I
Hmm.
can do is write and know that I have this 1 hour and I need to get everything done in this amount of time. So when it comes to habit change, I think the big thing that everybody comes up with, and we've already talked about it, is that people say they don't have time to do all the things that they want to do.
Hmm.
And it's because they're spending a lot of time on things that are unproductive and a waste of time and things that they think are important but aren't really. So really spending a couple of days, just like if you track your calories, you understand how much food you're eating,
Hmm.
or you track your workouts, how you can improve in your workout, track your time and see where your time is going and where you can make improvements there. I didn't believe in this until 6, 8 weeks ago, and then I finally sat down and said, okay, let's make some changes and let's become more productive. And since then, I've had the most productive 2 months of my life, and I feel like a changed person. But it started with identifying where my time was going and how I could better spend those hours and getting my work done so that I could spend more time doing the things that I love.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Time tracking is very important. In fact, I just finished doing some time tracking myself, and it's really unbelievable. It's like having a food journal. Like first of all, you think that you know what you're eating, but when you write down everything you eat, then you're starting getting these big ideas and insights that, hey, am I really eating this kind of stuff? And it's the same thing with time tracking. Once you have those, your actions and what you have done on a daily basis, once you have that on a piece of paper or on a document, so
Yep.
then you start to see how you are spending your time, and it's really an eye opener, really. That is a great advice. Something else that just actually read about this, but I'm currently reading a book. The name of the book is The Power of Habits, and it's written by, I guess the
Say,
name of
I'm reading it too on my
uh,
Kindle.
exactly. I'm reading it on my Kindle as well. So one of the things that the author is actually talking about there is these keystone habits, meaning that once you do a change or one habit change, it actually changes other parts of your
Yep.
life as well. So for example, he talks about exercising, and when people start to exercise, they form this new healthy exercising habit. So they actually understand that they also have to change their nutrition as well and do some other changes.
Yep.
And the reason why I wanted to bring this up, why this is very powerful, is because I actually experienced this myself a couple of years ago. I changed the course of my life. I started exercising, and then I realized that I want to change my nutrition as well, and then I realized that I want to become more productive, and I want to improve myself, and all that. So it's like this domino effect. So that once,
Absolutely.
yeah. So habits are very, very important, and they play a very big role when you are changing your life for the better, and improving the quality of your life. So
Yep.
so so yeah, but let's talk about something different now, as we are both bloggers, and I know that lots of bloggers tend to spend a lot of time on their computers, and blogging is actually, I mean, if you want to do it well, there's lots of stuff to do. But especially for a blogger, do you think that there are certain exercising benefits for a blogger, and in your own daily blogging, or how often do you blog, but what kinds of benefits have you seen in your blogging?
Absolutely. Well, to borrow a line from, I think, Richard Branson, they asked him what the key to his success was, and building these multi-billion-dollar companies and being the man that he is. And they asked him what, if you could pick one thing that was the key to his success, and he said it was exercise.
Yeah, yeah,
And that was really inspiring to me, and it made sense. I think, you see somebody that has the dedication to exercise on a daily basis and take care of themselves and eat properly. That's somebody that understands how important, structure and routine and building powerful habits can be.
yeah,
For me, especially while traveling, because I've spent so much time traveling on the road, almost every day. Well, recently I've been a little more, stationary, but especially when I started, I was in a new town every day. I was meeting new people every day. I was sleeping in a new bed every day. Everything was different. So the only thing I had that keep me sane and working on the same thing was my exercise.
sure,
And I knew that every day I could find a playground to go do some pull-ups and push-ups, and I could get my workout done every day. And that was the structure that gave me the confidence to continue building and exercising. And I think blogging, just like exercise, is something you need to work on.
yeah,
You can become a much better writer. If you go back and read the stuff I wrote 3.5 years ago, it's not very good.
yeah,
It's very generic. It's very there's no real personality to it. And it took me months and months and months and months of writing until I finally broke through and found the style that worked for me. Exercise is no different. It might take you months and months and months and months of eating right and working out properly
yeah,
to get to the body that you're looking for, and that the level of health that you're excited about. But there is such an overlap, I think, between healthy living and structured routines and workouts, and
yeah,
constantly trying to improve yourself, and constantly trying to improve yourself as a writer, and adding more subscribers and connecting with more people.
yeah,
There is such there are huge similarities between the two, and I know. Obviously, it helps that because I run a fitness website, I know I need to stay in great shape.
yeah,
But not only that, but I know because of my exercise, it's also helped me become a better writer and a better blogger and a better businessman as well, because I can identify what works in fitness and how it helps me live better, and how I can kind of apply those things to the business as well.
yeah, yeah. And something that I have realized my personal experiences is that one of the fears before I started blogging was that I don't have enough topics to write about. But as it turns out, as I have been exercising, so for example, if I'm running, all of a sudden my head is full of ideas, and the only problem that I have is that how to capture those ideas when I'm running, somewhere out there. But it's really like I have realized that, well, first of all, of course, my productivity has increased, but also my creativity as well. So it's really awesome. Like when you're doing something completely different, you're not sitting on your computer and you're doing something completely different. So all of a sudden, like this creativity thing, gets started inside your head, and your brain, keeps thinking out new ideas, and it's really like, I have like maybe 200 ideas to write about, on my
Yep.
on my list. So that's basically a great aspect of exercising and what it can bring to blocking. So that's definitely true. Um, but let's talk a little bit about diets, and we all both agree that diets are a very important part
Hmm.
of your lifestyle and well-being. But I mean, what do you think about the diets in general? Like, there are lots of different diets out there. There's this
Hmm.
low carb diet, which is very popular and seems to be very popular right now, and lots of different types of things coming and going all the time. Um, how would you advise someone to choose the right diet for him or her? Are there
Uh,
any tips that you?
sure, absolutely. Well, first, I would say spend, like you said earlier, spend a couple days tracking your calories.
Hmm.
I think if somebody's trying to lose weight, the first thing they're probably doing, and they don't realizing it, is that they are overeating. They're eating
Yeah,
more than they're eating more than their body is burning.
sure.
As a result, they're putting on weight. So I ask them to spend a couple of days tracking their calories so they understand how much they're eating and understand that a serving size, and I'm assuming it's different for you guys over there compared to here in America. Here in America, now these days a serving size is like the size of your head, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous,
Hmm.
and it shouldn't be. But that's what people have a very warped sense of reality these days on how big a serving size should be and what they expect that comes in a meal. So when they actually take the time to calculate how many calories they're eating on a daily basis, and not only that, but counting every tiny little piece of candy, every half of a soda, every beer, whatever, every single thing, if it gets tracked, you'll understand, wow, okay, I'm eating far more than I was thinking. If I can cut this back by, let's say, 250 calories
Hmm.
or 500 calories per week,
Yeah.
I can lose, let's say I can lose half a kilogram or something this week, or
Yeah.
I can lose a kilogram every 2 weeks, whatever.
Hmm.
So to start, I would say count calories and work on cutting back on the number of those that the number of calories that people are eating daily. Beyond that, I'm a huge fan, and I know it's a lot of people incorrectly refer to it as a super low carb diet, but
Hmm.
I'm a huge fan of the paleo diet.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the paleo diet is a diet that's based on the way that we used to eat way back in the day when we were hunter-gatherers and cavemen,
Yeah.
and we ate the things that we could find, pluck out of the ground or kill, and that was it. So it really comes down to vegetables, meat, fruit, and nuts,
Yeah.
and combinations of those things to make really delicious meals. The diet tends to be a lot of vegetables, a decent amount of meat, and then some fruit and nuts, and that's it. The big thing I think for a lot of people is it does cut out dairy.
Hmm.
I still consume dairy personally.
Hmm.
I'm of Scandinavian descent, and I have no problem. Dairy doesn't have any sort of issue with my stomach,
Hmm.
and I also the paleo diet recommends that you cut out almost all grains, things like pasta, bread, rice. You're even going to cut out beans, things of that nature,
Yeah.
and which is a very drastic departure from the United States, which recommends a ton of heart healthy whole grains, which,
Hmm.
as you can tell, I mean, the United States, it's like 67 or 68% of the country is technically overweight right now.
Hmm.
And of that, half of those people are considered obese. Like, it's
Yeah.
awful, and it's getting worse by the year, and but they continue to push these same dietary recommendations, and clearly something's not working. So when I discovered this paleo diet,
Hmm.
it just made sense to me. And when I had a lot of people look into it and had a lot of Nerd Fitness readers attempt the diet, they all found it to be really, really helpful and successful for a number of reasons. One, it makes everything very black and white. You don't have to worry about counting calories anymore. There are
Hmm.
things that you can eat, and there are things that you can't eat. Don't touch the things you can't. Eat as much of the things that you can eat,
Hmm.
and put your focus there. And focus on eating real, whole, real actual foods, not processed garbage,
Hmm.
and you'll start to see some changes. Um, and I think that's been the biggest thing for me, and the biggest thing for readers. Uh, when you are trying to make new habits, I'll just have one cookie, or I'll just have half of this, never works out that way. You have
Hmm.
half, and then you come back and you have the other half. Or you
Hmm.
try to eat just one, and you end up eating the whole bag.
Hmm.
So when it comes to this, it's very black and white. It's, no, you can't touch that, but hey, you can have as much of this as you want.
Yeah.
So, in my personal opinion, I try to push people towards the paleo diet if it's something they're willing to check out.
Hmm.
If not, that's totally okay. Whatever the best diet, in my opinion, is the one that they're actually going to stick with.
Hmm.
So, for some people, it might be just counting calories and still eating the same foods that they love, just a smaller amount. For
Hmm.
others, it's completely making changes, like a paleo diet, and running with that. Me personally, I am probably 80% paleo. Um, I do eat, at the moment, I am eating some dairy and rice
Hmm.
and oats because I'm in the process of trying to bulk up and put some muscle on. So,
Yeah.
but whenever I am trying to thin out or do any sort of body composition change just for some experiment I'm running on myself, I'll
Hmm.
switch to the paleo diet and I'll drop weight like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's very interesting. I mean, I have heard about paleo diets before, but I think that I want to learn more about it. Uh, just figuring out. For a person who is exercising a lot, and then you said that for example, bread and pasta and that kind of stuff is cut out. So how does it affect to your energy levels? Are you able to, like, I know that you are exercising a lot, so does it really matter if you're not getting that energy out of those foods like bread or pasta, or how are you able to actually replace that energy that you are getting from those types of foods?
It's interesting. Essentially, your body can operate without carbohydrate consumption.
Hmm.
What happens is your body, especially now for the first couple of weeks, it's a little tough.
Yeah.
Your body is so used to pulling from whenever you eat something like grains, sugar, whatever,
Hmm.
your body takes that into your system and then it
Yeah.
converts it all to sugar in your body and then uses that sugar for energy.
Hmm.
If it's not burned for energy immediately, it gets stored as fat, which is why all of the low-fat foods here in America that are full of sugar are
Hmm.
making fat.
Yeah.
Now, what happens is for those first couple of weeks, especially when you're depriving your body of all of that sugar and all of those grains and carbohydrates, your body is looking for the sugar to pull for energy, but it doesn't have any. It's like,
Hmm.
where the heck? So for those first couple weeks, you can be a little sluggish.
Hmm.
However, after 2, 3 weeks, your body starts to understand, like, okay, well, if I don't have any of the sugar, the only thing that I can pull from in this system is the fat that we have stored.
Yeah.
So it's pulling from the fat in your system and uses that for energy. So after the
Okay.
first couple of weeks, your body learns to adjust to actually the way that we used to eat. Back in the day, we weren't eating 300 grams of carbohydrates every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
It, that stuff didn't exist back then. They
Yeah.
ate vegetables they pulled out of the ground. They ate meat, and that was it. And things that they could find, and that was pretty much the extent of where their energy came from. Now, it works well for me because I love weightlifting, but I don't like running.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm not a big distance runner. I'm not a big long distance cycler or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
If you are somebody that does love to run and run long distances and bike long distances, then you will need to introduce some more carbohydrates into your system in
Hmm.
order to help you on those big runs. So what
Yeah.
people do is they'll eat some carbs right before they work out, like an hour before, and then they'll
Yeah.
eat some more about 30 minutes after.
Oh.
During the rest of the day, it'll be mostly just vegetables and protein. Um, and there's actually a great book called The Paleo Diet for Athletes that
Oh.
specifically covers endurance athletes that do long distances that are also interested in still living a paleo type lifestyle.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'll definitely have to check it out, and I think that that it sounds very interesting, and I know that you have written a lot about this paleo diet. Do you have any particular blog post that you would recommend for someone who wants to learn more about paleo diet?
It's called The Beginner's Guide to the Paleo Diet.
Ah.
Actually, right now, if you type in paleo diet into Google,
Hmm.
I show third right now on the first
Ah.
page, which is
Okay.
kind of, I guess a lot of people have found a lot of great have learned a lot from this article. So it's
Yeah.
Beginner's Guide to the Paleo Diet, and um, actually, or if you just go to nerdfitness.com, it's the very first link in the most popular post on the right-hand column of the website. So
Okay.
everything down into very simple to understand, easy things. and it also has some fun Lego pictures in there to keep you entertained.
Okay, okay, that's cool. Yeah, so I'll definitely include this link to this post on the show notes, so that people can check it out if they want to learn more about this diet. So that's very interesting. Now let's talk a little bit about the lifestyle change and the motivation and I know that when you're making changes in your life, the lifestyle changes, there are going to be days when you are you feel like giving up and that there are going to be obstacles on your road, so to speak. So but how would you motivate someone to keep on going and making those good changes and making those good habits and forming those great habits and uh, any advice how would you make that change to become success at some point?
Well, first, I think I would encourage people to have a reason. Some people are like, oh, I need to get healthy, or oh, I want to lose weight, but they're not really doing it for a particular reason. Are you doing it because you want to look better personally? Are you doing it because you want to finally ask out a cute girl at a coffee shop?
Hmm.
Are you doing it because your doctor told, unless you have a very specific reason why you're doing things, it's very easy to give up. For me, I exercise because I know I only got one chance on this planet, and I think it makes me feel proud when I go to sleep knowing that, hey, I exercised and I made my life better today. So I know after, if I don't feel like exercising, it's like, man, you're alive. Things are going pretty well.
Hmm.
Push yourself to be better. So I actually have a sign, I'm not sure where it is, but it's around here somewhere that says "Get busy living" or "Get busy dying"
Yeah,
on it.
yeah,
And I make sure I read that every day. And that's the kind of my reason, that my little motivational push every day, that I know I have an opportunity to live better.
yeah.
That's one. I think two, have a support team. I think so many people try to do this alone and struggle. Instead, I think if people had somebody that they could call on the phone every morning, or text, or send an email to and say, hey, guess what? I lost another pound this week and I was able to do my first pull-up. And you have somebody else that is like, no way, that's amazing. I did my first 10 push-ups in a row this week. And you guys kind of help each other go back and forth. It's amazing what can happen when you have a really great support group. And I think, of all the things that have happened with Nerd Fitness, the thing I'm probably most proud of is the community that has popped up around it. We have a thriving message board community of folks that spend all day helping each other and offering up words of encouragement and support. And if people have questions, they'll post a question there and 20 people will come answer it immediately. It is awesome to see people helping out each other. So yeah, it is you trying to exercise, but if you can find a way to build a support team, a fellowship, if you will, of folks that are all working together and helping each other out, you're going to have such an easier chance of succeeding. And I know we talked about this earlier, but when it comes to habit change, yeah, doing the exercise is pretty important. But more importantly, it's doing the exercise consistently until it becomes a habit,
Yeah.
is what's important. And there are definitely going to be days, especially in those first couple of weeks, where you don't want to exercise. You want to sleep in, you want to skip your workout, you just don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah.
If you have somebody that can come drag you out of bed or say, hey, look, if you don't come work out today, you owe me $50. Make up something. If you have somebody that can actually help you get through those really difficult first few weeks until you can build habits, I find that so helpful. So I would say have a reason, and two, build a support team would probably be the two big things if I had to help somebody finally start making some good changes.
Yeah, yeah, that's really great advice, and I agree that you need to have your why. I mean, you need to know your why. Why are you doing something? Like
Right.
if you are exercising or eating or whatever you're doing, you need to know why. Why is it that? Why do you need to? I mean, why are you eating like that or exercising or whatever you're doing? So knowing that is very important, and also that support group is also very important. I remember that a couple of years ago when I actually lost some weight, I actually used this online support group, which actually helped me to
Yep.
they actually get me on tracks, and I was able to move on, and they motivated me whenever I needed some help. So it is a great way to help you on your on your destination, on your path to your destination. So very important points that you brought out. Um, Hey, this was the last question that that I wanted to ask you. You know, time flies very fast,
Yep.
and it has been a really fun talking with you, and I hope that sometime in the future we might have another chance to, you know, have another call like this. So it was really fun, and I have learned a great deal about exercising and fitness and all that. So you know, anyone watching this and listening to this interview, so you should definitely check out nerdfitness.com. It's a great site, and there is a very active message board, like what Steve just said. So thank you for being on this call. It has been a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks, Timo. Hopefully I get a chance to come up to your part of the world and we can hang out in person instead of doing this long distance over Skype.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, thank you for your time, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Thanks.